The billionaire told her nobody remembers a woman who disappears before his lawyers took everything. Her nonprofit, her savings, her name. Then a child in a red coat found Kate on the street, pressed an envelope into her hands, and said 4 words. "Are you Kate?" And everything changed. Inside was a dead mentor's fortune with 3 conditions and 60 days to complete them. But on opening night of the studio, someone rigged the breaker panel to burn with the children inside. The security footage would reveal a gate that Grant's own lawyer recognized. But whose side was he really on? "Excuse me, are you Kate?" She looked down. The girl couldn't have been older than 8. Red coat, scuffed sneakers, eyes far too serious for a child. In her small hands, she held an envelope sealed with wax, the crest stamped EH. Shocked, Kate nodded slowly. The girl's face brightened with relief. "My grandma said if I ever got scared, I should find you. She passed away last week. She left you something important." Kate's breath caught. The envelope felt heavy, warm from the girl's grip. Evelyn. Evelyn Harrow, the woman who'd mentored her Design for Good Foundation, who'd believed in her when no one else had. Evelyn is gone. Her mind flashed back to their last conversation years ago before Grant tightened his grip. "Kate, if he isolates you from your work, from your people, you'll lose more than money. You'll lose yourself. Don't let him rewrite your name." But she had. She'd chosen love, or what she thought was love, over every warning. She'd signed papers she didn't read. She'd let him manage everything until there was nothing left to manage. And now Evelyn was gone. And Kate had never said goodbye. Her fingers trembled as she broke the seal. The girl watched her carefully. She said, "There's a condition." Kate's eye blurred as she unfolded the letter, Evelyn's looping script, somehow both elegant and urgent. "My dear Kate, if you are reading this, I am gone, and you are exactly where I knew you'd be, still standing. Your husband is buying my block to mirror his own reflection in glass. I have left you the means to fight, but only if you fight for others. Reopen the studio. Save our street. Remember who you are." Inside the envelope, a brass key, a bank authorization, and a list of names: city planners, lawyers, journalists. On the last page, a postscript: "The girl is Emma. Protect her. Her drawings will show the city what numbers can't." The cold night air bit at Kate's face, but she didn't feel it anymore. Across the boulevard, through the blur of bouquet headlights, she saw him, Grant Boyd, laughing into his phone in his cream suit, the man who'd taught her how quickly a person could vanish. She looked back down at Emma, whose small hand now gripped the fabric of Kate's thrifted emerald blazer. "Where's your mother?" Kate asked, her voice steadier than she expected. "Working 2 jobs," Emma whispered, "since they raised our rent. Grant's people said we have 20 days before they take our building." And just like that, the hollow ache inside Kate's chest filled with something sharp and bright. Not hope, not yet, but purpose. She didn't have a home. She didn't have a title, but she had a key in her hand and a child who'd found her in the dark. "Hello, my wonderful family. My love for you is beyond anything words can hold. You're not just an audience, you're my heartbeat, my joy, and my reason to smile each day. May heaven open wide and shower you with endless blessings. May love wake you in the morning, peace rest beside you at night, and joy walk beside you always. You are chosen, loved, and never alone. Thank you for your incredible support. Together we're stronger than ever. Tell me where you're watching from, as one unstoppable family." Now let's continue. Kate knelt on the pavement, heedless of the cold concrete against her knees, and met Emma's eyes. "Your grandmother knew what she was doing." "She always did," Emma said softly. Kate's throat tightened. "Evelyn understood why I stayed away. She knew what Grant did, how he twisted everything until I couldn't see straight. That's exactly why she did this." She rose slowly, the envelope pressed against her chest, and looked back across the street. Grant was still there, still laughing, still certain the night belonged to him. 20 days, Kate said quietly, more to herself than to Emma. Then louder. "Then we'd better get started. The probate office smells like old carpet and burnt coffee." Kate sits across from a trustee whose nameplate reads Harold Chen, Estate Administration, while Emma fidgets in the chair beside her, legs swinging. Harold adjusts his reading glasses and slides a document across the desk. Ms. Harrow was precise in her instructions. Kate scans the page. Numbers swim in columns, but three conditions rise like bolded warnings. Tranche 1. Reopen the studio within 60 days. Initial funds released upon lease execution. Tranche 2. Enroll 300 children tuition-free, verified by third-party audit. Tranche 3. File legal injunction against Boyd redevelopment before City Council's final vote. Fail any benchmark, Harold says flatly, and the trust dissolves. Assets revert to the Harrow Foundation endowment. You get nothing. Kate's pulse hammers in her throat. 60 days to resurrect a shuttered studio. 300 kids in a neighborhood where families are already being displaced. A lawsuit against one of the most powerful developers in the city. She didn't want to make it easy, Kate murmurs. No, Harold agrees. She wanted to make it possible. If you were the right person. He pushes another paper forward, a check with enough zeros to make her dizzy, but not enough to wage a war. First tranche, lease, utilities, supplies. Spend it wisely. Emma leans over. That's a lot of art kits. Despite everything, Kate almost smiles. Outside the office, Kate pulls out her phone and scrolls to a name she hasn't dialed in 3 years. Iris Calder, City Planning. The voice that answers is cautious. Kate? Iris, I know it's been 3 years since your foundation went dark. Iris doesn't soften it. I tried to reach you. Grant's office said you'd had a breakdown. Kate closes her eyes. Of course he did. I didn't. He made sure everyone believed I did. A pause, then quieter. I'm listening. I'm reopening Evelyn Harrow's studio. I have 60 days and a plan to stop Boyd redevelopment from leveling her block. I need someone inside the Planning Commission. The commission is being steamrolled by Boyd's lobbyists, Iris says bluntly. They've got term sheets, renderings, 3 council votes locked. If you show me a real alternative, not just a feel-good petition, I'll put it on the agenda. But Kate, you'd better move fast. The vote's in 9 weeks. I'll move. Good. Send me what you've got. And Kate, Iris's voice drops, I'm glad you're still standing. The studio looks worse in daylight, cracked windows, water stains blooming across the ceiling. 2 decades of dust settled like ash. But the bones are good. High ceilings, wide tables, a wall of cubbies still labeled with faded names. Kate signs the lease with trembling fingers, and the landlord, a woman named Chen, who remembers Evelyn, cuts the rent in half. She helped my son when no one else would. You bring those kids back, I'll keep the heat on. By nightfall, Kate has lights, a working bathroom, and a folding cot in the back room. She brews instant coffee on a hot plate and opens her laptop, drafting a flyer on a free design template. Free design classes. Architecture kits. Mentorship nights. No experience needed, just bring your ideas. She posts it to neighborhood groups, prints copies at the library, tapes them to bus stops and bodega windows. And then, before midnight, the Whisper campaign begins. Anonymous posts bloom across community boards. Kate Boyd back in the neighborhood? Didn't she have a breakdown? Heard she's grifting off Evelyn's name. Classic scammer. Someone should check if that trust is even real. The language is surgical, familiar. She's read these exact phrases in court filings, in sealed motions, in depositions where Grant's lawyers painted her as volatile, unreliable, a woman who couldn't manage her own life. Kate screenshots each one, saves them in a folder labeled evidence, then keeps working. At dusk, the studio door opens. Emma appears with 3 other kids, 2 girls and a boy, all carrying rolled papers. We brought drawings, Emma announces. Ms. Kate said we're making the block famous. Kate hadn't said that, but she doesn't correct her. They unroll the pages on the tables. A laundromat sketched in crayon, a rooftop garden in marker, a stoop where an old man plays chess. Each one labeled in careful child script, Mr. Diaz's store, roof where mom hangs laundry, place Jordan taught me to ride my bike. Kate tacks them to the blank wall one by one until the block becomes a living map. Not parcels and tax lots, but home. A neighbor Kate doesn't know peers through the window, then pushes inside carrying a mop and a thermos. Heard you're reopening. Evelyn would have liked that. She pours coffee into paper cups. I'm Marisol. I write for the Tribune. You need press, you call me. The room begins to breathe. Just before closing, a bouquet arrives. Lilies, expensive, no card. Kate lifts the flowers carefully. Tucked beneath the stems, a folded note on cream-colored stationery. You have 20 days to remember who holds the deed. Her hands don't shake anymore. She photographs the note, front and back, adds it to the evidence folder. Then she sets the bouquet outside the door and keeps sweeping. Emma watches from the window. Who sent those? Someone who's scared, Kate says quietly. Which means we're doing something right. She turns back to the wall of drawings, laundromats and rooftops and stoops, and feels the first tranche of Evelyn's trust settle into her bones like a promise she intends to keep. Kate spends 3 nights on the studio couch, laptop balanced on her knees, excavating the past. Old hard drives from before Grant upgraded her devices. Backup folders she'd forgotten existed. And there, buried in archived emails, she finds it. Donor after donor, all using the same language. Concerns about Kate's volatility. Unreliable leadership during transition. Recommend pausing support until governance stabilizes. The phrases are surgical, identical, copy-pasted. She scrolls backward through the thread until she finds a source. A PR memo on Boyd Industries letterhead. Grant's watermark ghosted in the footer. Subject, reputation management. K. Boyd transition. Suggested talking points for partner outreach. Her hands go numb. He didn't just leave her. He erased her. Systematically, quietly, while smiling for the cameras. She's still staring at the screen when the studio door opens after midnight. The man who enters wears an expensive suit gone rumpled, tie loosened, eyes red-rimmed like he hasn't slept in days. Kate recognizes him immediately. Silas Reed, Grant's general counsel. The lawyer who sat across from her during the divorce, face professionally blank, while her life was dismantled in legalese. You shouldn't be here, Kate says, not moving from the couch. I know. His voice cracks. I wrote the clause that took your endowment, the estate harmonization provision. I told myself it was neutral lawyering, just protecting assets during transition. He pulls a thumb drive from his pocket, sets it on the table like an offering. It wasn't neutral. It was a weapon, and I helped him load it. Kate stands slowly. Why now? Because I can't sleep. Silas won't meet her eyes. Because I have a daughter Emma's age. And if someone did to my wife what I helped Grant do to you. He stops, swallows hard. Easy. On that drive, off-ledger memos, shell company maps, instructions to staff. There's an email where he tells his VP of communications to bleed her out post-decree. Those are his words. Kate takes the drive, feels its weight. The demolition is financed by a sovereign fund, Silas continues. Words tumbling, faster now. Once permits clear, the money flows and the block is gone. But if you can stall with an injunction, make investors nervous, they'll pull out. Grant's leverage to his teeth. One delay could collapse the whole structure. And you, Kate asks, what happens to you when this comes out? I don't know. For the first time, he looks at her directly. But I'll testify. If you can protect me under whistleblower statutes, I'll testify to all of it. He leaves as quietly as he came. Kate locks the door behind him and plugs in the drive. Morning brings Marisol with pastries and her camera. Show me what you're building. Kate walks her through the studio, the wall of children's drawings, the schedule of class and pinned on corkboard, the donated art supplies stacked in labeled bins. Emma appears with her sketchbook, shy until Marisol kneels and asks, Can I see? The pages are careful, detailed. Mr. Diaz's corner store with its faded awning, the laundromat where Rosa watches her grandkids through the window, the rooftop garden where tomatoes grow in salvaged buckets. Marisol looks up at Kate. May I post one? Kate nods. That afternoon, Marisol's post goes live. A photo of Emma's drawing, a building with windows like warm eyes, captioned simply, What home looks like when you're in an 8. By evening, it's trending. By morning, volunteers are lining up outside, college students offering tutoring, architects with donated software, a retired teacher with 30 years of lesson plans. Donations ping Kate's phone in steady rhythm. $5, 20, 50, 100. The city is watching. Kate is organizing supply donations when she sees it through the window. A glossy black sedan, tinted windows, crawling past the storefront. It pauses. Someone inside is looking. The car continues down the block, circles, passes again. This time, Kate steps to the window and stares back. Her own reflection, emerald blazer, chin lifted, overlays the dark glass. She doesn't blink. The sedan accelerates and disappears around the corner. Emma appears at her elbow. Who was that? Someone keeping score, Kate says quietly. She pulls out her phone and photographs the license plate from memory, adds it to her evidence folder. Behind them, the studio fills with voices, volunteers sorting supplies, kids laughing over sketchbooks, a neighbor teaching someone how to use the industrial sewing machine Evelyn left behind. Kate turns away from the window and back toward the light. Opening night arrives like a held breath finally exhaled. Paper garlands crisscross the ceiling, cut by Emma and her friends in patterns that echo the block's fire escapes. Borrowed lamps cast warm pools across tables crowded with kids. A hand-lettered banner stretches above the door. This block breathes. Parents linger near the coffee station, cautious but curious. Chris Calder stands in the corner with her planning documents, taking quiet notes. The room hums with the particular electricity of something beginning. Kate moves through the crowd, shaking hands, learning names. A mother introduces her son who wants to design skateboards. A grandfather brings his granddaughter who draws buildings that float. Emma acts as unofficial tour guide, pointing out which drawings belong to which neighbors. We're documenting, she announces solemnly, so they can't say we didn't exist. Kate's throat tightens. 8 years old and already learning how to archive herself. At 7 o'clock, she steps to the microphone, borrowed from the church 2 blocks over, and begins to speak. But before she can finish her second sentence, the lights flicker. Once, twice. A sharp smell cuts through the air. Ozone, bitter and wrong. Iris moves fast, heading toward the utility closet before Kate can even process what's happening. When she returns, her face is pale, phone already pressed to her ear. Fire marshal, now, she says quietly to Kate. Then louder to the room, everyone stay calm. We're just checking the breaker. But Kate sees what Iris is holding, a tangle of exposed wiring, deliberately rigged, connected to a timer that's counting down. Arson designed to ignite hours later, after the family's left and the doors locked. The security camera footage, reviewed later by police, shows a masked figure near the utility panel the night before. Silas, watching over an officer's shoulder, goes rigid. He recognizes something, the gait, the way the figure favors their left side, but he doesn't speak the name aloud. Not yet. Police reports are filed. Fire marshal clears the space after disabling the device. Parents are reassured, and Kate makes a decision. We're not closing, she announces. We're not stopping. She steps back to the microphone. Her hands shake, but her voice doesn't. Someone tried to scare us tonight. They failed. She looks out at the faces. Children, parents, neighbors, Iris with her planning documents, Marisol with her camera. Emma, would you come up here? The little girl climbs onto the makeshift stage, clutching her newest drawing, a building with roots that stretch deep into the earth, branches that reach toward the sky, windows glowing like lanterns. She holds it up without saying a word. The room goes utterly still. Then someone starts clapping. Then someone else. Then everyone, until the studio shakes with it. Applause that sounds like defiance, like refusal to disappear. Outside, a black sedan idles 3 car lengths down. In the back seat, Grant Boyd watches through tinted glass as light spills from the studio windows. His cream suit is immaculate. His expression is not. He doesn't enter. He doesn't need to. But his driver, a man who used to work private security, who knows how to move through spaces without being remembered, pushes open the car door and steps into the night. Inside the studio, Kate sees none of this. She's kneeling beside Emma, asking her about the drawing's roots, listening as the child explains how buildings need to hold onto the ground or they'll blow away. Like us, Emma says. We're holding on. Yes, Kate agrees and realizes she means it. We are. The petition arrives on a Thursday, delivered by process server to the studio's front door. Boyd v. Harrow Estate Trust, emergency motion to freeze assets. Demand for psychiatric evaluation. Kate reads it twice. The language is familiar. Volatile behavior, questionable judgment, history of instability. The same script Grant's lawyers used during the divorce, now recycled with surgical precision. They're saying you're too unstable to manage the trust, Iris translates, reading over her shoulder. They want a court-appointed psychiatrist to evaluate your capacity. Of course they do. Kate sets the papers down carefully. It's the only play he has left. If he can't stop the trust legally, he'll try to prove I'm incompetent to receive it. Can he? I don't know. Kate's voice is steady, but I'm about to find out. The court appoints Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, a forensic psychiatrist with 20 years of experience evaluating trauma survivors. She meets Kate in a neutral office, no windows, soft lighting, a box of tissues placed conspicuously on the table. Tell me about your sleep, Dr. Okonkwo begins. I don't get much. Kate doesn't soften it. I sleep on a couch in the studio. I wake up checking locks. Sometimes I hear footsteps that aren't there. Are you afraid? Yes. Of what? That he'll take this too. That I'll fail the kids who are counting on me. That I'll look up one day and everything will be gone again. Kate meets the doctor's eyes. But I'm also busy. Fear doesn't stop the work. Dro Okonkwo makes notes. Tell me about the day you lost everything. Kate does. She describes the divorce, the lawyers, the way Grant isolated her while smiling for cameras, the clause she signed without reading. The morning she woke up with nothing. No home, no accounts, no foundation. The weeks in shelters, learning how to be invisible. Did you ever think about harming yourself? Yes, Kate's voice doesn't waver, but I didn't. I kept walking, and then a little girl found me. That evening, the studio door opens just after closing. Kate looks up from her laptop, expecting Emma. Instead, a woman stands in the doorway, mid-30s, expensive coat, eyes trembling with something between terror and resolve. I'm Lena Park, she says. I'm with Grant. Kate's spine goes rigid. You need to leave. Please, Lena steps inside, closes the door. I need you to see something. She lifts her sleeve. Yellow-green bruises model her forearm, finger-shaped, deliberate. Kate's breath catches. He says you ruined him, Lena whispers, that you're vindictive, unstable, trying to destroy everything he built. She pulls a phone from her pocket, hands shaking. But he ruins himself. I recorded him. She plays the audio, Grant's voice, smooth and cold, dictating social media posts designed to discredit Kate. Use the word relapse. Make it sound concerned, not cruel. Get it on the mom forums. They'll spread it faster than news. Another clip. Find leverage on Calder. Everyone has something. Campaign contributions, zoning favors. I don't care. Make her step back. Lena's voice breaks. He doesn't know I kept these. If he finds out, he won't, Kate says firmly. Can you send them to me? Lena nods, fingers flying across her phone. I'm leaving him, tonight. I just needed you to know. You're not crazy. You never were. After she leaves, Kate sits in the dark studio, listening to the recordings on repeat. Evidence, testimony, proof. Dr. Okonkwo's report arrives 3 weeks later. Diagnostic impression. Patient exhibits trauma symptoms consistent with prolonged coercive control and financial abuse. Demonstrates clear capacity for decision-making, goal-oriented behavior, and appropriate reality testing. No evidence of psychotic symptoms, mania, or impaired judgment. Recommendation: no basis for conservatorship or trust restriction. The judge's order follows within days. Motion to freeze trust denied. Discovery into Boyd redevelopment practices granted. Grant's PR firm issues a statement calling it a witch hunt. But donors are pulling out. Investors are asking questions. The machine is starting to crack. Kate reads the news on her phone while standing in the studio, surrounded by children's drawings of the block that won't disappear. "We're still here," she says to no one in particular. Emma, drawing at a nearby table, doesn't look up. "We were always here. They just didn't want to see us." Iris works miracles. Within 2 weeks, she shepherds Kate's preservation plan onto the Planning Commission docket, sandwiched between a parking variance and a zoning amendment. The proposal is clean, specific, costed, retrofit the historic block, freeze rents at current levels for 10 years, add rooftop gardens and apprenticeship labs funded by Evelyn's Trust and a consortium of impact investors Iris helped Kate assemble. "It's good," Iris says, reviewing the final draft. "But good isn't always enough. You need to make them feel it." Emma's sketchbook becomes the answer. The studio transforms into a gallery. Each of Emma's drawings, 37 in total, spanning 2 years, is mounted on the wall with a white label underneath. But instead of artist statements, neighbors write memories. Mr. Diaz's corner store, where I bought my son's first school shoes. The laundromat, where I met my husband, both of us folding towels. The rooftop garden, where my mother grew tomatoes from seeds she brought from home. The front stoop, where we took our wedding photos 43 years ago. The line to view the exhibit stretches around the block. Families arrive with their own stories, their own drawings. A grandmother brings a photograph from 1967. The same buildings, different faces, same light. A teenager films a TikTok that goes viral. This is what they want to erase. Marisol's follow-up article in the Tribune runs with the headline, "Is a city built for balance sheets or for children who draw it?" The question lands like a stone in water. Ripples spread. At midnight on the 47th day, Kate's phone pings with an alert from the trust administrator. Tranche 3 unlocked early. Donor match authorized. The viral surge triggered conditional gifts from 3 foundations. The final tranche, the one meant for legal fees and long-term programming, releases ahead of schedule. Kate sits on the studio couch, staring at the number on the screen. It's enough. More than enough. She hires 2 teachers, a program coordinator, a part-time attorney to file the injunction. Parents begin cooking for everyone. Arroz con pollo, jollof rice, dumplings wrapped by hand. The studio becomes a kitchen, a classroom, a war room, a home. The wall of drawings grows into something alive, not just Emma's sketches, but contributions from dozens of kids, each one mapping the block as they see it. Not property, people. Iris stands in front of the wall one evening, taking photos for the commission presentation. "This is what they can't argue with," she says quietly. "Numbers lie. This doesn't." Emma appears at Kate's elbow, holding a new drawing. The block is a tree, roots spreading deep, branches holding up the sky. "For the council," she explains, "so they remember we grow here." Kate kneels, takes the drawing carefully. "It's perfect." "I know," Emma says, matter of fact. Then softer, "Will it work?" "I don't know," Kate admits, "but we're going to try like it will." Outside, a sedan crawls past again. But this time neighbors notice. Someone takes a photo of the license plate. Someone else posts it to the neighborhood group with a question. "Anyone know why this car keeps circling?" The city is watching now, and it's starting to watch back. The subpoenas arrive like a paper storm. Boyd Redevelopment, Boyd Industries, Grant's personal accounts, his chief financial officer, his VP of communications. The discovery order is comprehensive, surgical, and, according to the celebrity litigator Grant hires, a grotesque overreach by an activist judiciary. The litigator's name is Marcus Vance. He's defended senators, tech moguls, men who've made art of making problems disappear. His retainer alone could fund the studio for 2 years. The hearing is scheduled for a Tuesday in a courtroom too small for the crowd that shows up. Kate sits at the plaintiff's table with her pro bono attorney, a woman named Chen who used to work at the ACLU. Across the aisle, Grant sits flanked by 3 lawyers in suits that cost more than Kate's annual budget. He doesn't look at her, but Silas Reed, sitting in the gallery, looks at everyone. When his name is called, he walks to the witness stand with the exhausted calm of someone who's already decided the ending. He invokes whistleblower protections, cites statute numbers from memory, and then begins to talk. He lays out the Shell network, LLC within LLC assets parked in jurisdictions chosen for opacity. He describes bribes disguised as consulting fees paid to council members' firms. He reads aloud from an email Grant sent to his executive team. Bleed her out post-decree. Make it look natural. The courtroom goes silent. Vance tries on cross-examination. Mr. Reed, isn't it true you're a disgruntled employee seeking— I was general counsel for 6 years, Silas interrupts. My salary was 7 figures. I'm not disgruntled. I'm disgusted. Then Lena's recordings play. Grant's voice piped through courtroom speakers, dictating false blog posts about Kate's supposed relapse, demanding collateral on planning commission members, instructing staff to plant negative stories with friendly journalists. Vance falters, pivots to character attacks, questions about Kate's finances, her housing situation, her mental health, but they land hollow. The evaluator's report is already in evidence. Then the clerk presents a document no one expected, a clause buried in the marital settlement paperwork, drafted years before the divorce. A failsafe. Provision 47C. Any transfer of assets derived from Catherine Boyd's charitable enterprise may be voided for cause if obtained through fraud, duress, or coercive control. It's dated 3 months before Kate married Grant, co-signed by Evelyn Harrow as witness. The judge reads it twice. Ms. Harrow had this drafted before the marriage? She was my client first, Silas says quietly. She told me Kate would need an exit someday. I buried it deep enough that Grant's team never found it. The judge orders forensic accounting of every transfer tied to Kate's nonprofit. 6 months, independent auditor, full subpoena power. Outside, hammers swarm the courthouse steps. Grant emerges smiling. He's been smiling for dampers his whole life, teeth white, posture perfect. But then process servers appear, sliding papers into his jacket pocket. 1 envelope, 2, 3. His smile freezes, cracks, dies. Kate watches from the courthouse doors as his phone begins to buzz. Investor withdrawals, regulatory inquiries, a sealed indictment from the state attorney general's office. He looks up, finds her in the crowd. For a moment, their eyes meet. She doesn't smile, doesn't gloat, just watches the way you watch a storm pass. Aware, unmoved, already thinking about what comes next. Then she turns and walks back into the courthouse to thank Silas, who's standing alone in the hallway looking smaller somehow, lighter. Thank you, Kate says. It doesn't fix what I did. No, Kate agrees, but it's a start. Council chambers overflow. Every seat is filled, aisles packed, people standing 3 deep against the back walls. Outside in the plaza, children chalk the pavement in bright, defiant colors. Home spelled out in letters 6 feet tall, surrounded by drawings of buildings with faces, roots, hearts. Elders sit in lawn chairs they carried from home, wearing their Sunday clothes like this is church. Because maybe it is. Iris presents first. Spreadsheets projected on screens, rooftop renderings that show the block transformed, gardens, solar panels, community spaces. She walks the commission through timelines, funding sources. Her voice is steady, professional, unshakable. This plan preserves history while building equity, she concludes. It's fiscally sound, environmentally responsible, and socially necessary. The question before you isn't whether we can afford to do this. It's whether we can afford not to. Grant's team presents next. Glossy animations of glass towers, economic impact studies, job creation projections. They make demolition sound like salvation. Then Kate stands. She doesn't have a PowerPoint, doesn't have impact studies. She has one drawing, Emma's picture of the block as a tree, projected behind her. Cities are stories, Kate begins, her voice carrying to the back of the room. We tell them through architecture, through policy, through who we choose to protect and who we choose to erase. Grant Boyd's story is about conquest, about taking what exists and replacing it with his reflection. She pauses, looks at the faces in the crowd. Emma sitting in the front row, Silas in the back, Lena standing by the door, arms wrapped around herself. This block's story is different. It's about 73 families who've built lives here, about a laundromat where 3 marriages started, about a rooftop where a grandmother grows tomatoes from seeds she carried across an ocean, about children who draw buildings with roots because they understand something we forget, that places hold us as much as we hold them. She steps closer to the microphone. You choose the ending tonight. You decide which story the city tells. During recess, Kate escapes to the marble corridor for air. Grant is waiting. He looks thinner than she remembers. The cream suit still fits perfectly, but something underneath has shifted, crumbled. You are nothing without me, he says. The old voice, smooth, certain, lethal. Kate studies him the way you study weather patterns on the news, coolly, distantly, aware but unthreatened. You taught me one thing, she says, how to start over. His jaw tightens. You think you've won? I'll bear you in appeals. His phone erupts with alerts. Both of them glance down. The screen fills with notifications. Investor withdrawals, board resignations, a Wall Street Journal headline, Boyd redevelopment under federal investigation. Security appears in the corridor. Sir, we need you to move along. Grant stares at Kate for one more moment, searching for the woman who used to shrink when he spoke. She's not there anymore. He leaves. The vote happens after midnight. By then, rain has started, soft, persistent, washing the plaza chalk into rivers of color. But no one leaves. Umbrellas bloom like flowers. The crowd swells. Inside, the commission votes. Boyd redevelopment demolition permit, denied. Harrow Block preservation project, approved. The room erupts. Outside, the plaza becomes a sea of umbrellas in blurred color and strangers embracing in the rain. Emma finds Kate in the crowd, slips her small hand into Kate's larger one. A photographer captures it. The woman in the emerald blazer and the child in the red coat, rain streaming down their faces, both of them smiling. The next day, the photo is everywhere. 3 months later, the studio hums with ordinary miracles. Sewing machines chatter at one end, parents teaching teenagers how to hem pants, how to read patterns. Laptops glow at another, kids learning CAD software from volunteer architects. In the back room, Emma leads a workshop on perspective drawing, 8 years old and suddenly a teacher. Laughter echoes off the high ceilings. Someone's brought empanadas. Someone else is troubleshooting a 3D printer. The leases have converted to a community land trust. Legal paperwork signed, notarized, filed with the city. No landlord can sell, no developer can displace. The block belongs to the people who live there, protected in perpetuity. Rents have stabilized. Rooftops bloom with gardens, tomatoes, peppers, herbs in salvaged containers. Someone hung wind chimes made from bent spoons that sing when the wind comes through. Silas Reed now works at a legal aid office 3 blocks away, helping tenants fight evictions. He stops by the studio sometimes, awkward, grateful, still learning how to live with himself. Lena Park consults for domestic violence shelters, teaching survivors how to document abuse, how to preserve evidence, how to remember they're not crazy when the world says they are. Iris Calder wins a fellowship to replicate the preservation model in 3 other cities. She leaves in the fall, but promises to return. Marisol's feature article, titled Home That Won't Move, a phrase lifted directly from Emma, wins a regional journalism award. She frames the certificate and hangs it in the studio's front window. The forensic accounting takes 6 months, but when it lands, it's devastating. Every transfer tied to Kate's nonprofit, the endowment, the donor-advised fund, the intellectual property, voided for cause. The money returns, dusty and wounded but present. Kate rebuilds the scholarship arm, hires a new executive director, implements the safeguards Evelyn always warned her about. She doesn't take a salary, doesn't need one. The studio pays her a modest stipend. She sleeps in a small apartment, 3 blocks away now, windows that face the street, locks she installed herself. Late evening, Kate walks the same boulevard where it began. The city glows soft and golden. Cars thread through traffic like slow water. Bouquet lights bloom behind pedestrians, but sharper now, resolved. She can see faces. The emerald blazer fits differently, still thrifted, still worn, but chosen. armor she selected, not inherited. A man in a cream suit passes on the opposite sidewalk. Different man, different suit, different life that has nothing to do with hers. She doesn't watch him go. Emma catches up, slightly breathless. We did it, right? Kate kneels on the pavement, clean now, dry, and takes the girl's hands. We started it, she says. The hard part comes next, making it last. I know, Emma grins. That's why we have the trust, and the drawings, and all those people. And each other, Kate adds. They stand together, looking up at the block that won't move. Windows glow warm. Somewhere a key turns in a lock. A door opens. Voices spill into the street. Laughter, argument, life. The future steps inside. Kate and Emma walk home through the sharpened night, through a city that remembers both their names now, through streets where being invisible is no longer a survival skill, but a choice neither of them needs to make. Behind them, the studio's lights stay on. Someone's teaching a late class. Someone's fixing the coffee maker. Someone's tacking new drawings to the wall that maps the block as it is, as it was, as it will be. A living document, a breathing space, a story that chose its ending.